Hey, hi, I'm Peggy and Salz here at Mobile Growth Summit. We've been doing podcasts all day long. We're going to continue. It's almost like a marathon. It's great stuff. Learning things, having great guests. Another guest for you, Patrick McGrath. He is, I was going to say head of marketing, but it's not.
No.
At Lyft, it is
Product manager for our growth platforms.
Growth platforms.
Yeah.
I almost nailed it, but hey, it's the end of the day.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I've got a little jet lag. I came in from Europe for this.
Yeah.
Wouldn't miss it for the world.
Yeah.
And, Lyft is one of those brands, you don't really need an introduction. We can talk about that, but I think much more as exciting is how to be, an indispensable app.
Yes.
But also where to draw the line, because you really don't want the world to need Lyft all at once, right?
That's
so
right.
Tell me a little bit about like your daily job over there. Is it really like figuring out like the levers to go up and down to acquire and keep users, or what is it exactly that you do?
Yes. So you're kind of asking, what does a product manager do?
Well, not that
and
one. You
then
too.
specifically
You too. Yes,
in
because it
growth.
feeds from that into growth, product and growth together.
So I think one of the nuances of managing a marketplace business is there are some unintuitive aspects of marketing when managing a marketplace effectively. And one of that is you often don't want new users.
Okay.
Right? So if I told a marketer, hey, your cost per acquisition here is going to be basically $0, that marketer is going to every day want to acquire that set of users. But in some cases, if we acquire new users, for instance, maybe in San Francisco when the demand peak is too high and we don't have enough drivers available, then those new users actually cannibalize the existing users in the market.
Oh, yeah,
and so
true.
the marketplace effects have to make their way into every aspect of our marketing activity, which is why a lot of our marketing activity is effectively automated so that we can appropriately manage and balance the marketplace. So this is with ads, incentives and coupons. This is with our lifecycle marketing efforts. Everything is
Everything
sensitive.
has to be in sync too. I mean, like you have to know this is what we have for demand. This is what we've invested in acquisition.
That's right.
Let's make certain that we have that completely in sync. That sounds like a massive undertaking.
Yes.
Is that like all of the stuff you've built it's in the back, or is this stuff that you can, I guess you can't buy it, you have to build it, but there's probably a trick to constructing it, architecting this.
Yeah, it's we kind of had to build a lot of it, and the issue is, and the way that I think about this, all of the sort of foundational aspects of a marketing program, so attribution, cost per customer acquisition, lifetime value modeling, media mix modeling, all of those things, they become ultra sensitive when you add the sort of effects of the marketplace in.
Yeah.
Because assigning credit, knowing where the credit should be assigned, how valuable users coming from this type of ad or marketing program is, and then how that plays into what the market's going to look like a week from now when it's a Super Bowl Sunday. All of these things have to kind of interplay together.
Yeah.
And being a marketer in a program like this is actually extraordinarily challenging.
So, I mean, near real time, whatever it is, wherever we are in the market currently, we're not really there yet. So how much of a lag is there? How much of a lag can you tolerate? How much of a lag can a marketer tolerate? Does it have to be near real time? How close is this?
Yeah, so it depends on the lever, right? So if you think of the customer life cycle, you've got your new users and top of funnel and sort of demand awareness, then you demand collection, so like paid search. Then you've got your lifecycle marketing activities, and we have incentives and sort of communications for email there. And all of those are sort of sensitive to how quickly we need to influence the marketplace.
Right.
And most of our forecasting takes that into account, as in, we know it takes our drivers about 10 to 15 days to traverse our onboarding funnel.
Okay.
And so we try to look out 10 to 15 days to know how much we should be spending
drivers are going to have
to acquire those drivers.
Yeah.
So a lot of our marketing activity is based on these forecasts that are sensitive to really the turnaround times of acquisition or retention for the cohorts of people that we're targeting.
So what kind of metrics are there? I mean, like the metrics we inherited, the MAU and the DAO, that's not really going to work very well for you, is it?
Yeah.
You gonna make them up, or?
Well,
the weekly active user, the WOW, I don't know. What is it?
Yeah, so we try to get to as close as, let's say, supply and demand as possible. So supply for us is effectively driver hours. Okay. How many hours we have in some region in San Francisco in this sort of geo hash.
Okay.
And on the rider side, it's ride intents or ride sessions.
Okay.
So how many intents are there, or how many intents show willingness to buy, for instance?
Yeah.
And then how many hours do we have available at that point in time?
Mm-hmm.
And most of our marketing activity is targeted towards influencing either of these metrics.
Okay.
And we use proxy metrics, like for instance, we know we get this many sessions from an install, and let's say this many installs from clicks, etc.
Yeah.
But all of this is with respect to targeting really the core sort of dynamics of the marketplace.
That's all about filling the funnel, but it's also about like keeping it going.
Keeping it going. Shaping the market as well as sort of filling the top of funnel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's doing it in such a way that you're not going to come out and say, oh, I've got more drivers than riders.
Yeah.
I've got more riders than drivers. I mean, that's something that you're probably, building as you go along.
Yes. Well, it's not only something that we have to build as we go along, but it's subject to the opportunities available to our drivers, for instance.
Yeah. Or a conference. I mean, like this.
Or a conference.
It moves the needle. It's very different. It's an outlier.
That's right. So if we're not aware of a conference like this in our data, then it might influence the volatility of the marketplace, let's say. And then the next time, we hope we've learned. We hope we actually have this in our data in the future.
So you built your own data warehouse. You've got everything. Do you have any thoughts on how to build a data warehouse? I've seen a couple articles.
Data warehouse.
How to build the data warehouse.
How to build a data warehouse. Interesting.
Yes, that's a hard one, but it's a very, very popular topic.
Yeah, I think the way that we think about it is what is the use case that we require this data warehouse to satisfy?
Okay.
And so increasingly in our case, we need information about our users in near real time.
Okay.
So that we can trigger things like a push notification or an email.
Yeah.
So that we can trigger things like spending more or less on advertising campaigns. So the constraints of the business sort of dictated how we needed to build the warehouse and sort of data collection strategy to begin with. And this is sort of an ever-evolving and ongoing process. We've never gotten it right. We'll rebuild and make it better and better.
So you'll never be bored.
Exactly. Never be bored.
So that's the data warehouse. It's like according to the model, according to demand. I'd love to have a better idea of that growth stack because that's probably getting very, very interesting because we're looking at CRM. We're looking at all these different new abbreviations we're hearing so much about. Your CDP, your CRM.
Yeah.
We've got the MarTech stuff going on in there. We've got engagement and push over here, and it must be something. I mean, are they all by themselves, or are you trying to work that more together?
So
where are you on that journey? And what are the parts? I mean, is it really like 30 times? Because I've seen these charts. 10 across. Three dimensions.
All of these different dimensions of marketing technology.
Read your Gartner. I mean, it's just getting like a multi-dimensional chessboard. What's it look like over there at Lyft?
A lot of the traditional MarTech was built for retail and e-commerce businesses and just doesn't quite work for us. And so a lot of our stack was built internally.
Okay.
So actually we have a relatively technical blog post entitled Building Lyft's Marketing Automation Stack.
Ooh.
Which kind of discusses the core components of
I will absolutely check that out.
Yeah, but to summarize,
I'm surprised you shared that, but thank you.
Well, it's high level enough.
Okay.
Attribution.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the data that we use to assign credit to all our various marketing channels and endeavors.
Okay.
Lifetime value modeling and lead scoring.
Okay.
So how valuable we think a rider or driver will be in the future, and then how much that is going to influence the marketplace as a result.
Got it.
And then we have a spend allocation system, which is this market is out of balance in this way, and so this is how much you should spend on these channels. And so this is sort of an always-on continuous loop to basically force balance the marketplace with marketing channels.
Okay. And those channels, how are you mixing that up? Because, I mean, everything comes in through Google and Facebook. I mean, I could go through the list, like what works and what doesn't work for Lyft. I mean, are there marketing approaches that just are out of it? I mean, I can't quite see influencer marketing, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Content marketing, possibly. So tell me about the mix over there at Lyft.
Yeah. So we have very top of funnel, region targeted brand campaigns. So we just did one with Alicia Keys, where she is an undercover Lyft driver in LA.
Seriously?
That was a cool one.
I gotta check out that one.
Yeah, we follow a lot of this marketing activity up with sort of more direct response activation in Facebook and Google.
Okay.
The truth of the matter is that that's where the eyeballs are. They made it very easy to sort of scale marketing programs. So a lot of our spend is through those channels.
Yeah.
And we're increasingly trying to find the interaction between brand and sort of connected TV, out of home, radio, and how it actually interacts with our performance marketing channels, and then how that interacts with all of our lifecycle activity. But I would say we're not doing anything crazy here. Facebook, Google, job boards occasionally for the driver side. We do some email marketing. We've done some partnerships and affiliates. And then top of funnel, we do have the brand activation targeting, our bigger regions.
So where are you pushing the envelope, do you think? You said just
pushing the envelope.
I think you're a little bit modest because you're saying, we're not doing anything really amazing. But the fact that you can integrate that and keep that together and you haven't put duct tape in the back of it is quite, unique. So you're being a little bit modest. But let's just say, okay, this is average.
Yeah.
This is the average way a marketer would market and do his job. What do you think is outstanding about what you're on? Or what are you excited about? You feel like you're on the cusp of something really exciting.
Okay, what am I personally excited about? I'm excited about the convergence of traditional, let's say, attribution and lifetime value modeling and implications for, let's say, artificial intelligence building marketing campaigns. So we're starting to go down the path where we have enough data about what types of campaigns work, where we need those campaigns, understanding what types of ad copy work, what types of creative assets work, that we have some, relatively optimistic scientists and engineers who think they can build automatic creative and campaign generation tooling that would be competitive or better than what is offered sort of off the shelf with a lot of the companies that are currently at a conference like this.
Well, I mean, you have the advantage because you have a lot of life cycle data coming in. You need that. If you're just saying top of funnel, you can't possibly figure out engaging creatives and campaigns, at least not with AI, right? But you have this data, so I can see you doing this. Is that what you're tinkering on in the background there?
That's of all the projects I'm excited about, I think that's one I'm excited about the most internally at Lyft. The trick has always been, how well have you structured your data up to this point, such that you can actually learn from it in a systematic way to go do new stuff. And I think we've been relatively forward thinking in terms of how much information we want to be collecting from our marketing campaigns and activities.
I was going to ask you about the privacy question. Now you're talking.
Oh, sure.
That one too. I mean, because one is the data.
Yes.
How do you handle that? I mean, everyone has to deal with it, but I'm just curious because you have also a marketplace as well to feed, and it's like an open marketplace, but a privacy question. How do you balance that?
The privacy question. Well, we're GDPR compliant. We're CCPA compliant.
Yeah.
The way that we store data, interact with data, is compliant to those regulations. In terms of where the sensitivity is with respect to a user's data, most of all of our models are using aggregated data that is not de-anonymizable in a way that might be interpreted as potentially making decisions at a user level as opposed to an aggregate level.
Right.
So we're sensitive about how we've designed our systems to be cognizant to the increasing sensitivity around privacy.
Yeah. So it's very much, it's almost like personalization at a different level because it has to seem individual, can't be, however, because of the data. Absolutely. Tell me about some interesting aspect of, we all learn from our experiences and our failures. And, you're building something which is so exciting. You are learning by doing. What I hear you saying about building, testing with AI, that's an exciting journey. Keeps you, I think, energized, activated, interested.
Fun project,
A lot of pitfalls along the way. Maybe you can share something where, there's these nightmares that actually turn into a happy end because you've learned something so incredibly smart. Share something.
I'm almost embarrassed to share this. So the way we had organized our marketing activity traditionally was rider marketing and driver marketing, and then we sort of had a brand halo. And we have a very strong brand, and we've seen that in sort of our brand paneling. But we never really thought about how our rider activity influenced driver acquisition and how our driver marketing influenced rider acquisition and the kind of interplay between those. So it's like a medium mixed question. And as we're starting to see, as we scale up our driver efforts, we might be attributing the success of these campaigns to drivers and incremental drivers, but it has a whole halo effect of bringing in riders as well. And so looking at the entire program holistically, which is what all programs should be doing to begin with, has kind of unlocked how we think about the business and the right levers in the marketing side.
And also maybe using some of those resources, because if they are feeding into each other, how does that work? I mean, would be something where you're saying to yourself, if we're attracting these types of drivers from these types of channels, maybe we're getting these types of writers from these types of channels, and that needs to be an interplay there, right?
Yeah. It's there needs to be an interplay. There needs to be sort of a media mix aspect to this that is taking a holistic approach to every single unit of marketing spend.
Okay.
And the corresponding incremental drivers, riders, incremental frequency or retention from the people that are active in market. All of these metrics need to be considered. And we're starting to see that most of how we were collecting data was a bit too siloed to think about the problem from that perspective. And so
how are you de-siloing all this?
So the data
You're
the
in
data
the process
warehousing.
now of the data warehouse is de-siloizing this, right?
We're de-siloing it now. Yeah. And it comes down to really true attribution or assignment of credit, right? This is, I think the hardest problem in marketing, besides actually having a good product to market, which is what is every unit of my ad spend doing? And you can't rely on a third party to give you that information. You can use them to point you in the right direction, but you kind of have to figure this out for yourself in your business. And we're just starting to kind of make real progress there. But it's a lot of infrastructure, it's a lot of plumbing, and it's a lot of expensive learnings.
Another learning is, you talk about media, and I'm thinking, media buying is different. It's so different. Every year I'm at conferences like this, and we have panels talking about it, and it's, there's hot topics all the time, and then there's like real life, how it is. I mean, you have to do this. This is your job. Not like me. I just talk about it. What are some of the major changes, some of the major challenges you've seen?
It's interesting. So 10 years ago, when Facebook was still a relatively new platform, there were people that developed these expertise to sort of exploit some of the weaknesses of a platform like Facebook. And they change bids erratically, and they generate sort of profit and arbitrage from having done so. And nowadays, Facebook and Google, one, they've removed the ability to target people across devices, so they've kind of closed their gardens. And two, it's no longer worth it to try to game their auction system or bidding platform. You kind of just have to give them good data and a lot of different marketing ideas, and they'll sort of figure it out for you. And so the need to be very precise and exploitative and kind of play with the triggers of these platforms has reduced. And the need to just have really good marketing content and strategies continually refreshed has increased. And that's always been a problem in marketing. But I think even more so, the platforms have kind of forced that to be the only real sort of lever media buyers have to drive scale effectively.
Speaking of platforms, are there others that are working out there for you? Because I always ask this every year. It's like, what are the channels? Where's the low-hanging fruit? Do we go back to Pinterest? Do we check out Snap? What are you doing? What other channels are working for you? Because at some level as a marketer, you don't want to put it all in Facebook and Google. I mean, I understand it's efficient, but everyone else is using them, so you're all efficient. So where do you get the differentiation? What channels do you see?
I mean, so we generally prioritize the channels that we evaluate and scale by nature of the total available reach in those channels, which makes Facebook and Google, by nature of the 70% or so of ad spend they're responsible for, the obvious choices. But then below that, you've got Snapchat, increasingly TikTok. You've got everything you can do in programmatic with private marketplace vendors. And so we are starting to explore that.
Affiliates also?
We're partners. We call them partners.
Okay. All right.
But potentially, how one might think of an affiliate relationship in terms of some kind of payment for a bounty. But really, we haven't really found scalable channels at the cost efficiency we need outside of the big top three like Facebook, Google, Snapchat.
Okay.
And I think influencer marketing is starting to become more of a part of our.
Alicia Keys doing that must be awesome.
Yeah.
I have to check that out. It's gonna be on YouTube somewhere.
It's on YouTube.
Okay.
It's on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to check that out. So, if I'm looking out to what you're excited about most, I mean, we talked about AI. And what marketers are most excited about. I mean, they're talking a lot about creatives, retargeting, that kind of thing.
Yes.
What's it for you when you look out there and you say, hey, this is going to get me to come in, do my job every day. Not that you wouldn't do it otherwise, right? But, this is going to keep me at it. This is going to pushed me to do my personal best?
Yeah, I think it's so we see this convergence of art and science in marketing technology.
Okay, yeah.
Where you've got, the artists that have the creative ideas and the strategies and the ways to communicate. And then you have the science in the form of the automation, the prediction models, AI.
Yeah.
And I think we're building a new breed of marketer where
very cool.
We're kind of arming people with sort of like the Tony Stark-esque Iron Man suit of tooling. And
I like this.
The amount that a single marketer is able to accomplish now with all these tools is more than entire organizations were able to accomplish 5 to 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so what I'm most excited about is like, what is the stack that I can give to that one genius, brilliant creative genius, CMO, marketer, etc., that can just allow them to scale themselves and build a brand by themselves. Like, I think that's where we're going, which is what I'm most excited about.
That's true. I mean, you're feeding it in there. I love the Tony Stark idea, you're tooling it up. Iron Man. And then you're getting into that sort of like that brand performance tension. Doesn't become a problem anymore.
No, I mean,
because it's performance driven, but it's it's data informed, but you are allowing that CMO, the brand to go. Yeah. Because that's what makes you. I mean, you start with an awesome color, for example. I remember the first
pink,
time I saw it. I remember I saw it one time I was in Spain the first time I saw it. I'm like, whoa, what's that? So, because I'm based in Europe, but absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I think that, first of all, I hate to end. We've got to come to an end.
Yeah.
Love to check out the next chapter of Lyft. Gonna definitely check out that blog post, by the way. Are you guys sharing more things like that openly? I mean,
we do
is this like a thought leader?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're very proud of what we've done on the sort of growth platform side. And so we want to share that because we invested heavily in it, and many other companies can't invest the amount of engineering time that we did.
Awesome. Very cool. Absolutely. And in the meantime, like, how do we keep up to date with you, Patrick? Maybe you're writing, maybe you're out there sharing, whatever, speaking, that sort of thing. What's the best way? Yeah, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. Okay. I have a Twitter handle, Ads and Ratios. Okay. That's really it. I don't really have a blog. Just find me on LinkedIn. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, full disclosure, I write in the industry, a lot of different places, Forbes, Adweek, elsewhere. I will be back in touch with you. Awesome. Absolutely. So it was a pleasure, Patrick. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me. A great thing, and that Iron Man image is going to stay with me. That is very cool. Because it's much better than like AI replacing us. It's augmenting us. That is super cool. Augmentation. Yeah. Absolutely. That's the word. So here we are at Mobile Presence, Mobile Growth Summit rather, and we'll be back to have some more guests, so stay right there, stay tuned, we're coming back. Thank you, Patrick. Thanks. Thank you.